Hey guys, Jared Wilson here from the DFW Marketplace, and I'm here to share with you guys about this flood house. This is a deal gone bad. Part of our series for deals gone good, deals gone bad. Sometimes the ones that go bad are a little more fun. So let's take you through this house. This is a house out in East Texas, actually. So when we initially bought it, it's okay. It's the backyard. Here's a picture of the front yard. It's a decent house. We bought it subject to a mortgage. Just getting you guys here's some stuff. A little bit of junk out that's needed. That's what we were expecting. The inside is decent. Of course, it had this giant tree that fell on the house. Had to get dealt with. It didn't really damage the roof too bad. And we budgeted a little bit for repairs, but my gosh, this thing went off the rails. So the initial thing we do is we always junk out the house, right? That was what we'd planned. And, if you look at it, it's like, kitchen's decent. It's a decent place after getting everything junked out. So we thought, all right, let's turn this thing around. And, but we got caught. So turns out massive flooding issue. Caused by the neighbor, real jerk. He blocked the drain. So this is behind the backyard. This is the neighbor's property. So he kind of dammed up. The water flows down the hill from behind. And this right here is a city drainage. So here's his house. Real nasty looking thing. He doesn't even live there. He's domed up the earth. And then he had completely blocked this drain. It flooded our house, and we were like, oh my gosh, we paid somebody to just clear out this city-owned drain just to get the water moving. Started a war with the neighbor. He was super pissed. And the water flowed into the house, totally jacked the thing up. We had to install a series of drains, like a drainage system. So it captures the water, and these pumps end up pumping the water into the street, which is the correct place for the drainage. That was quite costly. So I'll show you the numbers in a little bit. It made the return, it killed out my return, because it wasn't just fixing the drains. We then had to completely rebuild the foundation and piers all around, deal with all this mess. It warped the floors. The floors had to be repaired. They had to be cut and then laid back down. It was a whole series of mess. Lots of stuff. But in the end, it did turn into a nice little place. Front didn't change that much. But the inside, much better product. Of course, the intention all along was to owner finance the place. We just weren't expecting to have to rehab it to the nines. And the roof was indeed, of course, more damaged than we initially thought. The floors turned out not that great. I mean, the contractor didn't do that good on the floors. Here was this sunroom that was completely, the walls were soaked. The water came through here and then just flowed back through the house. So we just added a bunch of sheetrock, and look, we sold it, didn't even replace the door. Because it wasn't really full rehab, right? Okay, so the goal was to owner finance the house. So let's look at the numbers. So first of all, crazy, the numbers exploded in actual costs. So here's holding costs for 2024, and then it just rolls on. It's just more. Ended up dumping, can you believe this? $52,500 into this house. Total disaster. Let me show you my numbers, how they all shook out. So here is, I have very detailed financials, because otherwise how are you going to know what's going on? So it lets you see hold costs, completely out of control. This is how much we bought to reinstate the mortgage and pay the seller. And ended up all in, we had $212 into this place. Man, we only sold it for $220. So when I say bad deal, it's no spread, right? Not, our average spread is about $65,000, $75,000, something like that on owner finance deals. And total disaster here. There's like no spread. Um, by spread, I mean the equity that I have in the house. If my owner finance borrower was to pay me off, um, you know, they pay me out at, let's say they pay off 200,000, but I only have 130 in that place. Okay, well, that'd be a $70,000 spread. So, okay, let's look at how the return shook out. So here's our initial projection. This was what was owed on the underlying mortgage. Here's cash at closing, if you're wondering how all that shook out. So here we are. We ended up having a negative escrow account that we inherited and past due amount. This is the temp residential lease. You know, he gets that money as long as he moves out at the correct time. So all told, all that adds up to that 28.5, 28,104 cash at closing. We expected that we would have about $5,000 worth of repairs, repairing the roof, hauling off the tree in the backyard, that kind of stuff, junk out, you know, $2,000. There's more junk than I kind of showed you. But what's interesting is it did have an existing insurance claim. Now, I didn't underwrite thinking, oh, I'll totally get this, but it did certainly help the numbers a lot. So we did eventually get this insurance claim. It brought our total cash from the initial plan to $23,000. Okay, we thought we would sell it for $219,900 and get $20,000 down. We're going to finance at 7.99%. We typically do an escalating interest rate, so it starts at 6.99, 7.99, whatever the market could bear based on the rents. And then every 2 to 3 years, it goes up a point. That's to motivate them to refinance and actually pay me off. Let's see here. So here was my existing cash flow projection. So this financed amount, $199,900, would spit out $1,465 a month. And the underlying outgoing payment at 3.13% on this $135 was this $508. So I'd make about $1,000 a month. You know, that's slick. You put $23,000 in and you get $1,000 a month out. How many deals of those can I do? You know? And also, it was expected to have some spread, right? My total, what would I have been all in at? About 160, and ended up with 220 as the exit. So that's nice. Well, here's the actual numbers. Cash at closing, that didn't change. Actual repairs went off the rails, having to do all that. Now, here's the interesting thing. We did end up owner financing it to somebody. Well, we signed a contract with them. They actually moved in, and they were like, "Give me some time. We'll give you $6,000 now, and we'll make payments. And the beginning of the year, we'll go ahead and we'll close when we get our tax return." Well, they just totally bailed on us, and this is a weird thing. Who bails on $10,000? But you know, that's rent as well. So I guess in their minds it was like $6,000. But so that kind of helped ease a little bit of the pain. Let's see here. So total cash, I had almost $60,000 in this deal. What a disaster. So here's my actual sales price numbers. Sold for $219,900, down payment $25,000. We always charge for closing costs. That's like actually a profit center, because my staff, which is a fixed cost, are actually the closers. So they do all that in-house on our sales. Here's what we financed at actually 8.99. Go Brendan. He did a great job finally getting us out of this thing, getting more down and a higher initial interest rate. And after 3 years, I believe it goes to 9.99, and then 2 years later it goes to 10.99, and it's fixed thereafter. So, you know, I get a little bump. Here we go. So what's this initial incoming cash flow? It's like 1,566 minus that same 508. I get 1,058. Look at that. Return on my 58 grand is 21%. That's pretty dismal, especially for a subject to deal. Subject to deals have a little bit more risk in that, you know, the bank could call the loan due, stuff could go off the rails. There's all kinds of stuff when you're out of control. If you're out of control of that escrow account, you know, you gotta pay the taxes and insurance through the underlying. It's annoying. It takes more time to deal with. So I want more like 25, 30, 35% returns on those kind of deals. My cash deals probably make about, you know, on owner financing, they probably make about 23 to 26%, something like that. And that's typically how it goes. So This is one of those deals that it's just like, what do you do when suddenly the house you get a flood house, right? I mean, you go out to your house, you're trying to market it, and you're like, oh dear, I actually own a lake. So sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles, and you just got to work through it. So talk to you later, guys. Let me know what you think about all this. I mean, have you had to deal with a flood house? Hit me up in the comments. Let me know. Have you had a similar situation? Like, let's share stories. I solved it with French drains. How'd you guys solve it? So talk to you later.